I mean, and at a root level, like, I think of myself as music first and equipment second. The equipment is a means to an end to that extraordinary experience.
Do you have any, as a speaker manufacturer, do you have any tips to help people get closer to that experience from a speaker setup perspective?
From a setup standpoint, it is, I think there's two things. One, trial and error is important, and being willing to spend a day listening to the same couple of tracks over and over and over again to get everything just right. I'm reasonably certain that Laura will stab me if I ever play Don't Talk from 10,000 Maniacs again. Um, it's just, that's one of the tracks that has really good imaging. And as I'm trying to get things worked out, so you got to pick those tracks that you know and love. And then secondarily, accept the fact that sometimes not every speaker works in every room. Um, there's times when you have to cut your losses and maybe buy on a return policy, because realistically, like, one of the things that prompted me to start my own company and go into the space was I was really struggling to find a speaker that I liked. And I had bought a very expensive pair that just didn't work in my space. And when you spent $7,000 for a pair of speakers, and now all of a sudden you realize that, oh God, they don't work if they're not 9 feet apart and 3 feet off the back wall. And that amazing soundstage that I was just in love with in the showroom, I can't get at home because it just doesn't work in my room. That's a bad place to be. And then, I was committed at that point, unfortunately, and lost about $3,500 because I had to sell them because they were no better than my $1,500 speakers at that point.
Yeah, so trial and error, the right tracks, and knowing when to cut your losses if in the unfortunate case that you just got the wrong speakers. That's great
Right.
advice.
Buy on a 30-day return policy. That's my advice.
Excellent. And I presume Verdant has that?
Yes, we do.
Exactly. Yeah. I hope so. You do now. You didn't before. So you mentioned a Talking Heads track. What other tracks do you recommend? Or I guess I should just say, what tracks do you recommend for people that have certain qualities that make them great for evaluating either speakers or system on a whole, or individual tracks that are great for evaluating specific things like soundstage or imaging, or what have you?
I have maybe, there's a few that I use and they do certain things for me. The first track I play almost always when I'm evaluating a system is, oh God, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. It's the first track on Journey's Greatest Hits.
You know how to get to it. You don't know the name of it. That's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll look it up and we'll link it in the comments.
it is one of the most bright, painful songs to listen to. And if I'm going to play, so that first track we play, and if it sounds too bright and unpleasant, I move on. I don't need to listen to anything else on the system. That's good enough. The second track I almost always listen to is Duke Ellington and John Coltrane's In a Sentimental Mood. I love the piano, but it's got to be perfect for me. And there's this kind of top end sparkle that I like to hear. And that the piano, especially the initial stages of that, have this very sparkly tonality to them that is just spectacular. And that track is one that I'm always really focused on. The next is So What from Miles Davis off Kind of Blue. That track has a lot of detail in the bass, and not every speaker is capable of producing those detailed notes. Even I mean, I just want it to be detailed down to where the speaker's capable of going. Next is Don't Give Up by Peter Gabriel. That one is, that, again, specifically off Secret World Live. It does a couple of things. One, the crowd noise exposes whether or not the speaker is capable of delivering the kind of nuanced detail that I'm looking for. And Paula Cole was the person who did the vocals on that live record. And Paula Cole, like her music or not, is a really, really good singer. And that track is really special. So you want to test a female voice and get that kind of live experience and looking for those nuances and details. Great tap. Don't Talk from 10,000 Maniacs has for a non-Q sound album, and that's the big thing, because there's a lot of folks who'll talk about like Madonna's Immaculate Collection or Roger Waters' Amused to Death for its imaging. Those are Q sound records. They should be able to deliver amazing imaging on any system. That Don't Talk is one where it should come together to where it's the 10,000 Maniacs live unplugged, which for those of us who went to college in the mid to late 90s, I think that was kind of the CD that everyone had. Like, you'd walk into an apartment and you just assumed everybody had that CD. It was kind of the universal one that everyone sort of played.
That
But
and the Cowboy Junkies.
yeah,
Yeah.
the record is extraordinary though, and if you want kind of you want to have that soundstage for like an intimate setting, a great system will make that record sound ungodly good. A bad system will leave it sounding flat. So that's one where I'll almost always use. I like Don't Talk because there's a lot of detail in it that comes through. And I know the track really well. And and then I want to see if it handles rock music really well, and I almost always finish up with Run to the Hills from Iron Maiden.
Nice. Rock it out. Yeah.
I love Maiden, and if a system isn't going to sound good playing Maiden, I'm not going to be real happy.
I love that. I love those selections. They're not the normal, audiophile selections, and it gives people some other tracks to listen to and evaluate what their system does for it, and from a speaker manufacturer. So that's super helpful.